To be real with you, we don't have that many good rappers, bro. And I say this all the time, and I don't mean this in the cocky way, but I've been doing this for more than 10 years. How am I still the best one?
Yeah.
Like, how is there no better Armenian rapper than me? How is there no, like, 21-year-old, like, killing me right now?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Vibes Podcast, episode number 20, special episode. I'm your co-host, Medvin.
And I'm Ted.
And today in the house, we got none other than Armin. What's up, man?
Yeah. What's up, guys?
What's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. We were thinking about special guest, episode number 20. Who would it be? And there's
None
no one
other
else.
than-
I'm a big hip hop guy, so, and obviously not more than you. I don't want to like put that on top, but this is like special because I've been listening to you for a minute, and
Appreciate that, man.
yeah, it's not one of those things where just because you have a name, I want to bring you on. I actually listen to your so
That's what's up. Nah, I appreciate that.
yeah,
Thank you.
Of course. So before anything, I mean, I guess when you think about rappers, you got to think about their upbringing, right? Their childhood, what like they've gone through, because I feel like you got to have substance to rap, right? So I feel like, and I've heard a couple of your stories through your songs, but maybe if you could just tell us like who's Armin, like growing up.
Sure. Like a rough story would be, I was born right here in Glendale.
Okay.
So I'm originally, obviously, Armenian. My parents from Iran.
Okay.
My dad's side of the family was all in the Netherlands.
Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amsterdam. Actually, not really Amsterdam, but I got in the habit of saying Amsterdam because when I say Netherlands or Holland, people look at me weird. They think it's like wooden shoes and like that. But basically, yeah, they were in Amsterdam. And my mom's side of the family all out here in LA.
Okay. And was your dad born there?
No, my dad was born in Iran, but like, so they grew up in the Iran before we know it. I know you from Iran too, so you kind of know. But it's before the whole revolution with the extremist Muslims and stuff like that, right? So when it was a free country, so when the revolution happened, they left like a lot of us.
Yeah,
so, so my dad's side all went to the Netherlands. My mom's side all came to LA, and that's kind of like how I was born in LA, but I was less than a year old when we moved to Holland, and that's where I grew up for 18 years.
God.
So we moved over there for my dad and his family, but then he passed away when I was 1.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, all good. So he had kidney problems, and then they did like a kidney transplant eventually. And then the story is pretty crazy because like basically they give you the anti-rejection medication. So while he was still recovering from the transplant, they like miscalculated his dose or whatever. So like a week later, like while he was still in the hospital, he was supposed to come home the next day is what I was told. But so my mom left to grab his clothes and stuff and kind of get ready for him to come home. And I guess they had miscalculated the dose, gave him like 10 times as much or whatever.
This is in Netherlands hospital.
This is in the Netherlands. So, and then the side effect of those medications is high blood pressure. So he died from a stroke.
Wow.
So on some like very shocking. So
So the transplant went well. It was the...
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
And then this is also Netherlands. Like over here, I guess you could probably sue and become a millionaire after that. You know what I mean? But there's nothing like that over there. You know what I mean?
Just happens and that's it?
Pretty much.
How old were you?
I was 1.
Man.
So I was 1.
You
My
had no
brother
idea
was
what was
3.
going on.
No. So I never knew my dad like that.
When were you told this story? Like,
I don't know. I just remember growing up and kind of knowing it. You know what I mean?
So how was it? I mean, I've heard this in your songs, obviously, but how was it growing up like that? How was it growing up?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of never really knew better. You know what I'm saying? My mom tried her best. You know what I mean? She definitely. That's one of the reasons I think too that she still chose to stay over there, even though all her relatives, and she has like a lot of like 7 siblings. You know what I mean? Like a big family. They all lived out here, but she still stayed over there because, like, for a single mom, welfare and all that, it's an easier system in Europe. You know what I mean? Like than the United States at the end of the day. So I think that was part of her decision, and probably just to be close to like his family and stuff like that.
And is she here now?
Yeah, she's here now. So she never really remarried, or not really. She never remarried, and but like growing up here and there, we would visit over at summertime. You know, like I said, I have a lot of uncles, aunts, so they would show like send us flight tickets, and we would come over here. And just growing up, we would love it here. We, meaning me and my brother, and we were like, yo, eventually we want to move here. So after we finished high school, we moved over here, and then my mom followed.
Did you learn English in the Netherlands?
Yeah. I mean, most European countries, you just learn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it's like part of your school. Like, you have to.
Curriculum?
Yeah. Part of curriculum. And then I always kind of felt like a LA kid anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just picked it up.
Got it.
And then growing up, listening to a lot of hip hop and TV and all that. Like, you know what I mean? You learn it. So.
Was there BET in Netherlands?
No, there was no BET. Yeah, we just had our own music channels. You know what I mean?
So when did that passion start? I mean, for music and
I don't know. Like, I was always into music. Like, I remember being like super young and listening to, you know, like my aunts and uncles' music, whatever it was. You know what I mean? Michael Jackson and whatever. You know what I mean? And then, but yeah, I think I was around like 10 years old when that like passion for like somehow I like rap, like just the rhythm of it and the aggression and the self-expression. You know what I mean? And really how I got into it was actually like an older family friend. Like basically my mom's close friend had a son who was like older. So let's say I'm like 10, he was probably in his 20s. And they used to come over and he kind of noticed like I was always into music. So I clearly remember one day he pulled me aside. He's like, yo, I see you really like rap. Like if you like rap, this is what you should listen to. And he had like Gangstar Hard to Earn was like the album he gave me. You know, this is like a real East Coast, like real underground or what hip hop, you know what I mean? And especially in Europe, like Amsterdam and stuff, it was very New York influenced, you know? So obviously we had like Snoop Dre and like the big West Coast guys, but besides that, it was like very New York. So it was like Wu-Tang and Nas and Tribe Called Quest and you know what I mean? So he gave me that first and I remember listening to it. I didn't really get it. And then there was one song on it. I was like, yo, let me just give me that one song. And he was like, no, if I'm burning you this CD, I'm give you the whole thing, you know? And he gave me the whole album. And then for some reason, I fell in love with that, you know? And then the next time he came back, he gave me like 5 more. And he gave like Nas, Illmatic and Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. Like he was really schooling me.
What was that one song?
It was Suckers Need Bodyguards by Gangstar. It's not like a popular song or anything. For some reason.
Just something that got you.
Yeah. It goes like, fake MCs, they always act hard, but won't walk the streets without their bodyguard. Hey, it was like really aggressive. I was like, yo, that is hard. You know what I mean? For some reason, I like that.
Didn't Eminem say that too? Or who said that lyric again? That sounds familiar, but I don't remember hearing that from King. I don't know. But
I don't know if anyone said it like that specifically.
But that's the okay. So
he was really kind of schooling me, and then once I was, you know, in high school, I was just a big hip hop fan, you know. But I was like an Armenian kid in like the Netherlands. It's all like Europe is like all white people, and then like the Middle Easterns are like considered like the lower class because we're like, they call us the foreigners, like all the refugees, you know what I mean? Like, so I actually grew up with a lot of like Moroccans, actually a lot of Turkish people over there. And then black here and there is from like the Dutch colonies, you know, Aruba, Curacao. So like, you know, it's a very different society than out here.
Was it easy to make friends?
Yeah, making friends was cool, but for some reason, and me and my brother always had this, like we always felt more home in LA. And that's weird because I grew up there, you know what I mean? And like my first language was Dutch, and like I had a lot of friends, but you were always looked at as the outsider. And over there, it's kind of like there's a lot of racism everywhere. But I feel like a city like LA is like all the Armenians live in Glendale, all the black people live in Inglewood, all the Mexicans live in El Monte. You know what I mean? Like everyone lives in their own almost areas. And of course you twine with everybody, but not really. You don't have to.
You still have cliques.
So it's like racism is more like closed off. Not that that's better, but over there it was more in your face. You know what I mean? Like everyone lives right there and it's like just more in your face. So.
Do you ever visit back home or?
I used to more when I first moved here, and then I kind of haven't since like, I think 2011, 2012, not 2011 or 10. Okay. I want to go back soon though, for sure. So
this progresses. So when do you start listening to a lot of rap? When do you pick up the mic and say, yo, let me just do this for myself and see what happens?
It really starts like a hobby like everybody else. But it was like my last couple years of high school. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just listening to a lot of hip hop and a lot of just the beats, you know, and then one day, I don't know why, I started writing rhymes down and just kind of rapping to myself.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't tell nobody. I wouldn't tell my friends.
Starts like that.
I think that's how everybody kind of starts, you know. And then one day there was like some type of audition or whatever over there to meet this like big producer or whatever. And again, I'm in high school, so And then this girl that knew that I rapped, she signed me up for the audition without telling me. Like nobody really knew except this girl. And then, you know, so I went and they loved it. So now I linked up with this big time producer, but this was like, I would say 5-6 months before I'm moving to LA. Like it's my senior year in high school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but that gave me confidence though. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. So I started kind of telling people but then I moved here because I knew like if I really wanted to do music, for sure I had to come here. And secondly, I just felt like I'm more home here. You know what I mean? So even though it was hard to leave, because when you're 18, you know, high school is like the best year of your life, kind of senior year. You know what I mean?
Build
like
your friends,
you just start,
everything's
you build
comfortable.
your friends, you start, exactly. You start partying. You know what I mean? But I knew kind of for my future I had to leave. So then I moved.
Can you speak fluent Armenian?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I might mix, you know, fuck it up a little bit, you know. So,
all of us.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so 18, 19 is when I guess you started like throwing it out in the public, right? And then would you say, this is what I know it as, but would you say your biggest hit at that time, or not at that time, what made you Armene is the Armenian Genocide song?
Yeah, for sure. So when I moved here, you know, I started right away looking for people that's kind of into hip hop, and you know what I mean? And being in Glendale, and like, it's not that easy either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was just trying to figure it out. I didn't know nobody, you know what I mean? I lived with my brother in a little apartment for a while, and then my mom moved too, and I started going to Glendale College. Okay. But somehow I met this guy, he went by Blind. So he was, you know, an Armenian dude who had just started making beats. He was like a gangbanger, you know, super gangbanger. He was like a good 7-8 years older than me, who I got shot and he turned completely blind. But then he started making beats.
Wow.
So I linked up with him, and we both like super beginners, and like, you know what I mean? And, you know, we started making like songs in his room, and that's kind of how we started. And the whole Pentagon Records was actually his idea. So me and him started it, not even officially, but we called ourselves Pentagon Records. And, yeah, Blind came out with the idea, and then, you know, I always had this thing, like, you know, I always was very deeply rooted to like being Armenian, and like, you know, obviously living in the Netherlands, there's no Armenians at all. Like in our city, I had like maybe one Armenian friend, and it was just because the mom knew my mom, and they lived like mad far away. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know no Armenian, so but we went to like the Armenian, like the club in Holland, you know, like. So, but that was far too. So it would be like Easter, Christmas, New Year, whatever, you know what I mean? So, and then my mom started like driving us like an hour every Saturday to learn like read and write, you know what I mean? Armenian, which I'm still not great, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, I had that connection, and then just growing up with knowing about the genocide and being like hip hop is the voice of the people, is the voice of the struggle, and everybody talks about where they from, and you know what I mean? Yeah. So I felt like, you know, that's our struggle. Like, you know what I mean? That's
we need an
like,
anthem.
and hip hop is like the expression, you know what I mean? Like, and at the same time, I had just started like Glendale College, and I was going to these, my brother was already in like the ASA and all that. So I was kind of pulled in through him, and we would go to these like genocide events, and they had these candlelight vigils, and I would sit there and I'll be mad bored. You know what I mean? Because it was all these speeches. Here and there, they had like a performance, but it was like never like a professional. It was always like, you know what I mean? And it was always kind of catered to like old people. And slowly I start to see less and less like young people even attending these things, you know? So I was like, I brought it up to Blind one day. I'm like, yo, we need to make like a song about the Armenian genocide.
How old were you?
This is like probably like 19, 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Like early when I was here, like the first couple of years. So I already had like the idea, you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, we need to make the beat with like duduk samples, you know what I'm saying? And then I had met this girl, Sose, who I ended up going to UCLA with, you know? And I knew she was like an incredible singer. She ended up being in like Element Band. I don't know if you guys heard, but they're pretty big, especially in the Armenian community. Okay. So I'm like, yo, I know she would sound really good on it. So anyway, Blind makes the beat, and then I started writing the verses already. I took it to Sosa, and she's like, I think like the hook should be Armenian, because I never even thought of that, you know what I mean? Like, because I was actually very against making like Armenian music, you know, because just because you get boxed in, exactly. And I wanted to be a hip hop, like I'm an MC, like I don't want to be, you know what I mean? Categorized as that, even though you always will be a little bit, you know. But I never thought of making like an Armenian hook. But when she started singing like Gilikya, you know what I mean? It's like, and then she's like, I think either this part or that part, you know. And I'm like, damn, that is phenomenal, you know? Obviously, I knew Kilikya, but didn't really know it, you know what I'm saying? And then on that beat, it sounded so good. I'm like, yeah, well, you're going to use both parts. And like the hook is super long on that song, which works. So yeah, that's how it came together, man. And like, it was really like a magical song. To be
And
honest.
it just,
like, go ahead.
did it just take off immediately?
Yeah, it took off immediately. Like, at first, I had basically on my first CD, which was Broken Water. We put it on there, but like the year before, I had made like these little demo CDs, and we were going around high schools and just passing them out. And I had already put that on there, and then here and there I would perform it at schools, and instantly I saw like the reaction was like crazy, you know. Like, and the crazy thing was that we didn't expect, because obviously we thought Armenians would feel it. And the whole point of making like a song is to like educate others, you know? But the crazy thing was how many like other people were reaching out, and specifically about that song on the whole CD.
Yeah.
And they started realizing that like everyone has been through like some type of struggle, you know what I mean? It's slavery or Holocaust or whatever it is. And everyone has some type of open wound, and like they just, you just relate, you know what I mean? And I start thinking of like, why do we love it so much when like Snoop Dogg always says LBC, or like Game always says Compton, and you just respect that he reps his so hard, you know what I mean? And that's just the things that started falling in place, like, yo, motherfucker, really like connecting to it. So.
Hell yeah. So I mean, for me, it's like, dude, I can listen to a song that is in a different language, but I could just feel it, you know?
Right. And that's exactly what the hook did.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you off. Because that's exactly what I said to myself. Honestly, most Armenians don't know what the lyrics are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Of Kilikya.
Yeah.
Like, but even if you did, it don't really matter. You know,
you just feel
hits
it,
you,
man.
and the way she sings it is.
It's relatable in a way that you just don't understand.
Yeah.
So one thing you were, and we know this through your songs, is that you were a pharmacist at some point, correct? Or
yeah. So, like I said, I came here, I went to school, and you know, I go to UCLA and I graduate UCLA.
Same.
All while I'm kind of trying to figure out this music thing. And then when we put out the CD Broken Water, when I say put out, is like, this is like MySpace days.
Wow.
Right? So it's like, you know, you print, there's still CDs, you know what I'm saying? And we print like 1,000 CDs. And then actually Soset told me about MySpace. She's like, you should put your on MySpace. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? And then started blowing up in people's eyes. You know what I mean? But you know, we were young and like had absolutely no idea what we're doing. Absolutely no business sense. Absolutely no team around me. You know what I'm saying? I just a group of homies. So it wasn't really translating into anything. And I don't mean money. I just mean like going ahead. Like, you know what I mean?
Growth.
Understanding branding and understanding, you know, relationships and you know, going ahead. And even though I got some big calls from the industry, I got some big looks here and there, but it wasn't really working out. So I was just like, you know, and then I just graduated UCLA and I kind of like was lost. Like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean?
what was your major?
Physiological sciences, which is basically physiology, and which is basically everyone that was pre-med took that, you know?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, now looking back, it's easier to say, but I never wanted to go to school. I never wanted to be a pharmacist. I didn't want to go to medical school, but it's like us Armenians, not only Armenians, but like immigrants, parents, we just kind of raised with that, you know, like our parents, they moved to a better country and then
For us.
they just like instill it in you.
It's a moral standard that you gotta
It's
go.
just a standard, and it's just like mom in my ear since we were young, you know what I mean? And you kind of grow up thinking that's really all there is, you know what I mean? Especially in our community, like who the raps? Who the does really anything else? And now it's kind of a different time because we're talking about 10 years ago approximately, right? So like, I'm like, yeah, what the am I gonna do? You know what I mean? And then my mom's in this area, my brother goes to medical school, you know what I'm saying? And it's like all this pressure on me. And it's weird because now looking back, like none of my uncles, nobody in my family went to college. You know what I'm saying?
That's how it is, man.
And that's how it is with all of us. Nobody really went to college,
But
bro.
they
Like
tell
my
you
dad
have to
did,
go.
but then he passed away. So we never really, he passed away young, early 30s. So it's not like he, you know, has
still
still to show
the-
for it or whatever. But yeah, it's like, you know, but still they instill it in us. And you see that in like Asians, you see it in like Arabs, like other Middle Easterns. It's just part of the culture. And honestly, I can honestly say I just went to keep my mom happy, I guess. And also because I didn't know better. You know what I mean? Like,
Did you practice it at all?
Yeah. So what happened was I was pre-med like everybody else, you know what I mean? And I was always really good at school. I could say that. Like I was one of those kids, like honestly, I would just not really show up to class. I figured out college quick. I'm like, oh, you don't really got to be there. You know what I mean? So I was always in my little dorm room writing raps. And then my brother and these couple girls that we were always cool with, they all doctors now, by the way, but they used to bring the notes, and I would just kind of, you know what I mean? Like I would pull it off, and I would still have like A's and here and there B. And then, so I was really good in school. You know, I didn't really have to like study every day at all. You know, I would leave it to the last minute. So, you know, eventually like it comes to the point where like you got to apply to like med school and I was like, yeah, I don't think this is what I want to do. Like I was already really into music and definitely being a doctor to me. Then residency comes and like you really it's not a joke. Like you're dealing with people's lives. Like this is your, you know, I started finally realizing like this shit got to be your passion. Like
that's just really, the beginning.
Yeah, you really got to be dedicated to this. You can't just do this while you think you're going to make it in music, you know? So at least I realized I don't want to go to med school, but then I was like, what's the next best thing? I'm like, well, I don't want to look in people's mouths and be a dentist. So I guess pharmacy. So at this point, I never worked at a pharmacy. I never been in a pharmacy. I have no clue, bro, to be honest, what a pharmacist is. I just look, I'm like, I have to be in California because I'm doing music. So what are the 4 schools here? It was like USC, Loma Linda, Western, and UCSD. Like, all right, I applied to those 4 and I start getting interviews for all 4. I got interviews. That's kind of like the first step, right? So I go to the interviews, and each interview they ask me like if I've worked at a pharmacy, and I'm being honest. So first one I get rejected, second one I'm on the waiting list, third one I get rejected, and then the 4th interview comes and I realize, yo, these people really want you to have worked at a pharmacy. Like I figured out like that's probably why, because everything else I was pretty on point, you know what I mean? My grades were good, you know? So I just straight up lied in my 4th interview. I said,
what school is this?
Loma Linda.
Okay.
Loma Linda, which is, you know, by like Riverside and the IE. So I'm like, you know, I just started working a few months ago at Western Pharmacy. Like that's the first name that came up in my mind. You know what I'm saying? I've never been there. I have no clue. I'm thinking, hey, they're either going to double check or not. You know what I'm saying? And I got in. And then when I was in, I'm like, well, I might as well go now. And that's kind of how it really, you know, and then I'm in and I'm still thinking I probably won't graduate. I'm going to blow up. And, you know, that's what everyone thinks. And Dr. Dre is going to call me. And, you know what I mean? That's kind of what you think. And then, next thing you know, I graduate. And then during graduation, they even gave me like, when they give the honor awards, they gave me an award for, like, as a joke, student most likely not seen in class. And then, you know what I mean? And everyone cracking up. And then I went up. It was really funny at like the award ceremony. And but yeah, and then I started working. And I worked for CVS and Rite Aid. And like 3 years ago, I was like, yo, I don't want to do
3
this
years ago?
Wow.
So up until 3 years ago, you were a pharmacist?
3 to 4 years ago.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I was working at Rite Aid right here in Glendale.
For sure.
At first, I was doing like a graveyard shift at CVS. And then I'm like, I don't want to work graveyard no more. So I started working here. And then like people are recognizing me. Well, you know, it was just... But that wasn't really the issue, but it kind of was. You know what I mean?
Did you hate it?
Yeah. I mean, I can't say I hate it. I wouldn't work for like one of these chains for sure. Like I hated it. Like, you know what I mean? You're just an employee, even though like your salary might be good and you're like, nah. I would, you know, like be more of an entrepreneurial pharmacist if I would do it. But the thing, like it's a respected profession, but the industry of the whole like, it's just, honestly, it's against everything I really believe in. You know what I mean? Like big pharma and how, you know what I mean? How these drugs are given and how everybody is hooked on medication. I'm honestly completely against it. I'm a fucking pharmacist. And I guess the more I learned about it, the more I realized it. But really what I started realizing is things were starting to take off with music. And it's really because of a whole different level of dedication we did like the last couple years. And I started realizing, yo, like the salary and I'd rather have way less money and just full on do music. And, you know, it's always like for any, I guess, entrepreneur is like, you have to like know, like, when can you do that? You know what I mean? Like, you have to kind of work and, you know, so I started, you know, here and there picking up shifts, but not really working. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing. So if, let's just say you didn't become a pharmacist, right? And you just straight up went into rapping and no other thing. So if you're just beginning, not much income coming in, you don't have the the leisure of rapping like 24/7, right? So I feel like that was a good thing for you because it allowed you to make that income on the side and focus on your rap, right? Would you agree?
It's true. Because in the beginning, I finally had like money a little bit, and I could actually like invest it here and there. Like now, all of a sudden, $1,000 for this or $2,000 for this wasn't that big of a deal. You know what I mean? At first, it was like, how the f- am I gonna get $1,000? You know. But at the same time, I feel that, and this is another thing, like within our community in a way, is like, cause like I never had like let's say like a mentor or someone older that had been in the industry that could kind of like lead. You know what I mean? And it's not really just finances. It's just like, if you make the right moves, you know, I made like every mistake I can make, I feel, you know, and like when you look at the end of the day, hip hop is a black man's culture, and 100% agree. And today it's way more universal, and like, you know, every culture is kind of a part of it. You know what I mean? You go to every country, there's rappers, but to the industry, there's still no real Armenian rapper. And I'm still different, you know what I mean? And I don't like to make it about race, but at the end of the day, we live in a world where that matters in every industry.
Yeah, of course, man.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't have a cousin who had a wife that was like married to like Dr. Dre's cousin, or like, I don't have a, you know what I mean? Like I could get the System of a Down. Why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just as big, but I know all of them. You know what I mean? So there's always some type of connection when you're from a certain background, and like, we were so far separated, and I think it's different now, but we were so far separated that like I didn't know what to do, really. You know what I mean? So
3 years ago, you want to say completely stopped. You picked up your last shift and you left. Do you think that's because you started to realize that what I'm doing isn't what I'm passionate for?
100%.
And then that gave you more of a motive to hustle harder and do what you actually love to do.
100%.
And so to me, that's like such an inspiration for our audience to hear that, because there's so much, even till this day. I mean, everyone we're surrounded by, they're going to med school, they're going to like business school, whatever they're doing, to that just their parents will go be a lawyer, go be a doctor, and they're doing that in the back of their head. They're like, do I really want to do this?
I was one of those kids.
And it's like, there's someone right in front of you saying that at the end of the day, after all of that, you did it. It's not even like you said that you stopped halfway or whatever. You actually full force went through it. You were working, you had a full-time job. And then so it's like, why have people, it's sad. It's like up, honestly, to see people go through that when the experience has just been in front of you. So it's like, learn from those mistakes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we live kind of in a different time now that, for example, you see like Gary Vee coming on your Instagram feed every day, and you see like Shark Tank, and like people understand a little bit more about like being an entrepreneur and doing your own thing, whatever your passion is, you know what I mean? You know, just like a few years ago, it wasn't really like that, you know what I mean? So I kind of like feel, again, like I'm not really regretting that I went to school, because maybe it just, that was my journey, you know what I mean? It kind of worked out. But yeah, 100%. I started realizing two things. I started realizing I'm not doing what I love. Honestly, I hate it. Like, it's just like, it's a job, you know what I mean? Like, even though it's a little better when you the boss, because when you the pharmacy, you run the whole shit, and like you respect it, and it's a little bit better, but it's still like a fucking job. I still wake up like, if I didn't have to go, I wouldn't go, you know what I mean? So, and secondly, I'm like, yo, I'm too good at what I do to like not do it. And I had this talk with my manager, like he been with me since day one. And it was like, I would say around like 2011, 2012, you know, a couple years before I made that transition, we had this talk a lot. It's like, yo, you think you like 100% dedicated because you go to work, then you come home, then you go to the studio, and you're tired. He's telling you. Yeah, he's telling me this.
He's feel like, tired.
You think, but at the end of the day, you still at every family event. You at every, you know, I know Armenians, we always have some type of gathering, right? You at every thing, you work a full-time job. You're not really dedicated. You know what I mean? There's artists that live in cars. You know what I mean? Like that live on the street. What they do, everything it takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you living in the comfort of your 6-figure salary, driving your little, you know what I mean? Whatever. And you trying to, and then really like I started realizing, and him too. I mean, we both learning at the same time, but he was one step ahead. He's like, if we're going to do this, we have to like fully dedicate, which means everything. You know what I mean? And that's what, you know, I got rid of the little Benz, and I got rid of, you know, and I had a little 1-bedroom apartment, and then we got a little office, and he got rid of his apartment, and he had his clothes in my house, and we used to sleep in the little office and literally live out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, just get rid of anything not necessary at the moment, you know, every little cost adds up, but even more than that is your time and your where your head's at, because every step eventually leads to different things that finally, you know what I mean? Like you might think like, okay, if I go to this event now, like what the is gonna happen? Like, but you know what? If 6 months down the line, if you didn't go to that one event, you didn't meet that one person, that other wouldn't have happened. You know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of shit we started learning and doing, and it started working, you know?
Hell yeah. So with that said, you guys recently launched maybe 2 months ago or a month ago, Pentagon LA. Pentagon LA. It's on Glenoaks and
Grandview,
right?
And
yeah,
Grandview.
it's right at the corner. You
And
can't
so
miss it.
KFC,
can you describe that? What it is? What it's about?
Yeah. So this was so a few years ago once we started doing the open wounds thing with all the T-shirts and stuff, and we always did like merch, you know what I mean, at shows and stuff, and it was for independent artists, that's kind of your main income, you know, and it was cool. But then when we did the open wounds thing, it really kind of blew up, you know, and it was very like, what's it called? Like very organic. Like we didn't think of like, oh, I'm going to make this genocide shirt. And like, no, it was really like, yo, I have this song, and the song was already old. We did this in 2013. So the song's already kind of old, but I felt like it never reached its potential. We never even had a video for it, or, you know what I mean? So my manager, Alex Cotto, he was also doing the videos at the time. And I'm like, yo, we should just do a video for this song. And we should create like a T-shirt that says Our Wounds Is Still Open 1915 with it, and like, you know, relaunch it, because like now at this time I've got way more connections. I'm a little bit more known even in the industry. Like it'll go further than before.
YouTube's
you know?
picking up.
Right.
You know,
Everything's kind of picking
media.
up. Exactly. So I already had done the song with Game. I already had you know, the sway, the first like sway. You know, I was just kind of like getting in the game more. So anyway, so when we did that, and I'm wearing the shirt in the video, and we only had printed like a few shirts just for the video, like everyone starts hitting me up like, yo, how can I get that shirt? How can I get that shirt? You know? So that first like April, like as much as we could print and get out, there was demand. Like we couldn't keep up with the demand. So the following year, it keeps growing and growing, to the point in like 2 years we made it its own like nonprofit, you know what I mean? Because it was getting like too big. But that led to all my other merch selling too, you know, and of course that led to my name being out more too. And like, so the merch game started being real, you know what I mean? And it's actually like funding kind of like music now, you know what I mean? And even like I gotta be clear, like my own merch is kind of funding music, and Open Wounds is helping, of course, you know what I'm saying? But that became its like own 501c, whatever it's called, nonprofit, and we donating a lot. And this year, hopefully, we're gonna do like scholarships, and we try to work with like all the school ASAs and kind of give a proceed to them, or work with like Armenia Tree Project, just different like different things in the community, whatever we can kind of do, you know. And now we actually became part of the official Armenian Genocide Committee.
Okay, nice.
It's like AYF. It's like all the committees together. It's the official. So we part of that. So it kind of grew into that, you know. But just the merch game picking up and stuff like that. So a couple years ago, we did like a kiosk at the Americana. I don't know if you guys heard of it. Everyone kind of heard. And then we had the whole drama with them. But then we kind of felt like we outgrew that. We're like, yo, if we have our actual own kind of space, of course, we're already paying for like office space, so that could be also our office, and then we built a little studio in the back now. So we had this idea like last year, like, yo, we got to come up with it's like our headquarters, you know. So when we got the space at Grandview and Glenoaks, which is like this corner, and I found out later that like mad people applied to get that, and we somehow got it. You know what I mean?
You have like, I'm in real estate. You have prime real estate.
Yeah, it's crazy, and we appreciate it. I forgot the owner's name, but salute to you. but yeah, we got it. So we got it last year, right before April actually. So we opened it just for April, you know, because the open wound always picks up, and then we close it down and we remodeled and everything. And then so Pentagon Records is our label, and we felt like the store will be called the Pentagon LA. And God willing, if we expand, it'll be like a New York, and you know what I mean?
And this is the merch. You're wearing it right now, right?
Yeah, I'm wearing it right now. So yeah, the LA kind of turned into like this one piece, and this thing really kind of took off. You know what I mean? And we just came out with this last month, but we kind of have that same feel as early on we did with Open Wound shirts. It's like all people that actually want, like usually people buy your merch just because they're a fan of your music. Let me get a shirt, you know what I mean? But like when it turns around that people just want the shirt,
it looks nice.
Without caring about your music because it looks dope. And we got and of course, like I have a good team and my partners, Alex and Tina, like we have a good eye for like designs. You know what I mean? Like we started taking the merch game real serious. So, but then the whole concept of the store is not that it's just a store. That's why we put under it says art, music, culture. Is like we kind of want to make it like a hub of like where like just any type of art can be presented. So, you know, we just had our grand opening in December, so we're fairly new, but we want to have like pop-up shops and CD signings and even little events and maybe rap battles, and you know what I mean?
It's like an incubator kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And then we got the studio in the back, and young artists and can come through. You know, we still building the walls up and stuff, but like people can come record there, and like, you know what I mean? And then it's our office too. It's like our headquarters, and we sell not only our merch but just like artist related merch. So I got like the OVO and the Pablo. And like,
nice.
You know what I mean? And hopefully we'll do the shoe things. Like we got a few, but we starting to pick. So, you know, it's like it's a side business, but it's also just kind of a hub for like, you know, and anywhere around here, there's nothing like that really. You know what I mean? So I told you guys, if you want to come and do like a Vibes podcast from over there, you know, like yesterday we had Evidence from Dilated People do an interview there. We got Crooked Eye coming next month. We had like, we're trying to get like Tech Nine. I'm trying to get Wu-Tang to do a pop-up like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
And what do you have an online store as well?
I was just gonna ask
your
website.
So the store is called the Pentagon LA, and the website is thepentagonla.com. You know, follow us at the Pentagon LA Instagram.
We'll put
and
the
all
link
that.
in the bio for sure. So if
So,
anyone wants to cop that, it looks dope.
sure.
The hats too, everything.
Yeah, everything is there. The website's being built, but it's workable already.
That's a good segue though. You mentioned Wu-Tang. So when I first saw this, I follow Wu-Tang and I saw their new album released and I see Armeens on it. Before you even mentioned it, I saw it. I'm like, what? There's no way. I listened to it. It was very dope. And
Appreciate
like,
it.
I guess my question is, how does this even come about?
You might have found out before me, because it's a funny story. This is a good example of like, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen when you just go somewhere and then like later on, you know what I mean? So I performed at a lot of these cannabis cups, you know, these weed festivals, and there was one like last summer, or I guess the summer before, Chalice Festival, and Wu-Tang was headlining. And, you know, I'm a fucking Wu-Tang fan, but not just that. When I'm free, I like to go to these events, and by now I know enough people to usually get backstage and just kind of network, you know what I'm saying? So I was just there kicking it, networking, and then this lady by the name of Sister Asia, she was with the Wu, and she came up to me. This is a funny ass, because I'm standing by myself on my phone, and she came up to me. She's like an older lady and very like one of those spiritual kind of, you know what I mean? And she comes up to me. She's like, young man, you have a very angelic aura around you. Are you an artist? I'd like to get to know you.
Like Erica Badu type?
Yeah, exactly. Like an Erica Badu kind of vibe. So I'm like, yo, that's kind of dope. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, I am. I introduced myself, whatever. We start talking. Turns out she, like, you know, she's Indonesian, and she grew up in the Netherlands also. So we start talking Dutch, and she gets even more excited. And then I guess she moved to New York, and she been with like Wu-Tang and a lot of these like older hip hop groups, like from the beginning, like before they were big. So she's like really like with them, you know, she's really hip hop chick. She's like 60 years old. So anyway, we start building this relationship, you know, she hears my music, gets even more excited. You know what I mean? You the New Testament of hip hop, and so I just start going a couple places with her, and then, you know, met the man. I already kind of knew him. I'd opened shows for him, and I met him a few times, and he had worn the Open Wound shirt for me like one time during the show, and like he was supportive, but not on the like I can call him type level, but like, yo, I fuck with you, you know, when you see him. So, but besides him, nobody really, I didn't know like if they were aware of me. So, but through her, I met all of them, and then I met DJ Mathematics, who's their official DJ from the beginning, like back in the 90s, and he's also the person who designed the Wu logo. You know what I mean? Like he's an artist like that too, and he's been a producer like under the RZA like for all these years, kind of like a ghost producer. So one day after like Red and Meth have a show, I'm driving Mathematics home to like his hotel. Like he didn't want to kick it. He's like, yo, can you take me? I'm like, yeah, I got you. So I'm driving him home, and he asked to hear my music. This is the first time he's hearing my music, so I'm playing some.
What'd you play? You don't remember?
I played a bunch of but I know I played Lost Angels with Game, and I know I played Babylon Puppets. I know he's Wu-Tang, so I'm trying to let him know, like, you know, I know what it is. Like, so he was like super impressed, you know, but he's like a laid back guy, so he's just showing love, whatever. I drop him off, And then a few weeks later, he texts me. He's like, yo, I got this one song, Method Man. I already laid his verse. You want to drop a verse on it? So I'm already just excited to like be on a song with Meth. But I don't know if it's for like a Wu album, you know?
Interesting, okay.
So I'm like, hell yeah. Like, send me this shit. So he sends it to me. It was like 1:30 in the morning. I go straight to the studio the same night. So I recorded, I sent it back to him. So by the time he wakes up in New York, he has it, you know? So he hits me back. He's like, oh, fire emojis, whatever. So, and then I thought, all right, I got a song with Meth, maybe like,
Dope.
there was like talk about him producing a whole album with Method Man, you know? So I'm thinking it's probably for that, if it makes the cut, you know? So, and then like a few months later, they announced a Wu-Tang album, and I didn't realize that the whole album is produced by Mathematics, you know?
Wow, okay.
If I knew, I would have maybe thought of, oh, maybe I'm on it. But like, because RZA always produced it, but I guess RZA overlooked the whole but he actually produced it. So yeah, they released the track list. The day they released the track list, I woke up to all these texts and these tweets like congratulating me, and I'm like, what the happened?
Wow.
Man? And I look, I'm like, oh, I'm on a Wu album. So
How huge is that, man?
yeah, I was really excited. I mean, for me, it's like a childhood dream because I'm like a real hip hop head.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was amazing, man. Shout out to Mathematics. He definitely made that happen.
So how does this work though? So if someone sends you a song that says, yo, spit on this, how do you start like you did it that night, you said?
Yeah.
So how does that even like?
I mean, that's what we do. You know what I mean? Like,
Jeez, man.
You just see what the song kind of what kind of vibes it gives you. You know.
And you hear his verse obviously, and then you go.
His
on.
verse was already on it, and he had like a rough hook on it, so I kind of know the vibe, and you know, you just kind of go for it.
And the song is called G'd Up.
G'd up.
G'd up, yeah.
Yeah, Armin has a
So
very
the album's
dope verse.
called The Saga Continue. The Saga Continues, and the song's called G'd Up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I made sure I did good. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I mean, you always want to do good, but sometimes you're like, nah, I gotta
Extra
really,
good.
really kill this one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I have a question for you, and it's kind of a weird segue into this, but I'm sure you've heard of like Super Salko's new song Migana, and you saw how it blew up. And again, he's from the Armenian community, but I mean, he's not a rapper; he's just a singer, Armenian singer.
Sure.
But it got like fresh. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Starts with an M. He did like a verse on it too, and then he released it.
Who's that?
Mietre.
Oh, the French guy.
The French guy.
I heard
yeah.
about it. Yeah.
So
someone told me that. Yeah.
what I want to ask you is like, you did the open wounds and you threw a little Armenian in there. Do you see yourself like rapping and like collaborating with these other Armenian singers and seeing like, what if that might pick up like internationally? Maybe you might get some traction. Like,
I never really thought of it because I just see it as very different type of music. Like, if the art makes sense, you know what I'm saying, I would do it. Like, I've known Sako for a very long time. Like when I had just moved to Glendale, and I kind of met him early on, and he's been doing music for like mad long. But he just kind of found his lane. You know what I mean? Like, he came out with this like pit bull type of kind of his and then mixing it with like Armenian singers.
Yeah.
And it worked for him. Like, I'm not really the type to like, just because it worked for him, that I'm going to go try that now. Mixing Armenian singers might work, but not that type of music. Like, the
like even
type of music wouldn't work for me.
like the open wounds kind of music.
Right.
Like more of that, because that was like,
yeah, I know people want it from me because
Beautiful.
people tell me all the time. And we've talked about it. And we've thrown around some names like in the Armenians that would be dope. Like, I guess I'm thinking about it. You know what I mean? If it comes together, it kind of has to come together. You know what I mean?
I feel like
But
it's just
yeah,
a little.
I'm open to that kind of.
it's
If it's
beautiful.
still in my
I mean, it's
lane,
like
but it is beautiful. I totally agree with you.
I just feel like it's a little different because when Armin spits, like it's just like crazy, and then like it has to be the right hook, right? Because you can't
gotta
just
be
go
like,
from that to
No, of course. It's I mean, yeah, it just has to make sense artistically. That's the only way to put it, really. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to like create thinking of like, this might blow up like in this way. You know what I mean? Like, just to do it, just to. Because like usually it doesn't organically, it always happens. Like, look, Sako's been doing the same exact type of music for like very long time, like close to 10 years probably. Like, he's been popping kind of close to 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, but this one kind of went whole next level.
Because it mixed with like Heiko, and I feel like it just worked.
It just worked, yeah. So I'm not sure if he knew it was really gonna work to this level. Probably not. You know what I mean? Like, you just kind of like, okay, this one might be the one, you know, and then it kind of works.
You have such a powerful kind of voice, you yourself, and like, yeah, there's a special lane, and
no, I appreciate it. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, my whole thing is like, I guess I'm not really focused on being that like Armenian guy at this moment
No, I
anymore.
get you.
know what I mean?
get you.
It's different.
So that's why my mind is not always thinking of that. But we actually spoke about this not like a week or two ago, like at the office when we're kicking it. Like it's something we should think of. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
So being someone that listens to hip hop and you being a big hip hop guy, I'm very curious. Could you name me your top 5 favorite rappers?
Of all time.
Dead or alive? Yeah.
So favorite or like greats? Like, okay, so like I get picky with these lists.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
shit,
So no, it could be great that you don't like. So your top 5.
My top 5 is so end of 2016 I did like a tribute mixtape to my 2 favorite rappers, Nas
and
M.
Eminem. Yeah.
If I really had to pick, it's been Nas and M, kind of like growing up, like influence wise. And the third one will be Pac, and the fourth one really would be Wu. Like if I had to pick, it was Method Man when I was younger, and now it's like Meth and Raekwon and Ghost. But it's like,
you like Redman?
I love Redman.
Yeah,
Redman, you know, it's not an official Wu-Tang member. So like, but like I love Redman. But I want to put him in my top 5.
Okay.
He's like amazing. And then honestly, like, you know, Mobb Deep has always been, and it's not one rapper, but like if I had to pick my 5 like favorites, that's the like 5 list. And it's hard for me to pick because there's like
Jay's not in there, huh?
That's what I'm gonna say. But like, if you ask me like who the greatest is, I think hands down is Jay-Z, and he's right there too. Yeah, yeah. But I'm kind of going with like me growing up and what really defined my like, you know what I mean, like your childhood and hip hop like love. It was those 5 more. I listen to Jay-Z and Biggie and all that, and I love them. But it was more these guys.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, Jay-Z and Biggie and Kanye are the other 3. Like, and if I say like top 5 greatest to me, no order really, but it would be Jay, it would be Pac, it would be Nas, Eminem, and Kanye.
Okay.
And 6th man is Biggie. Biggie and Kanye, I go back and forth, but yeah, Kanye's catalog I think might be the best one ever.
Agreed.
Like he doesn't have one whack album. Like he's literally a genius in my opinion. So.
I mean, so how about speaking of like, for example, the big artists right now, right? So someone like Drake. So recently it came out that like he had ghostwriters, right? So being a lyricist yourself and you see someone that has people write for him, do you have still the same amount of respect for him as you did before?
Yeah, it's a tough question because so I think Drake, before that came out, he had kind of already like coming up, he had really proven that he can really rap. Like, so he had like, you know, in his earlier he's actually even more rapping, you know what I mean, than like later on. So like I never had doubts that he could like write his raps. So that's why like, you know who Saha the Prince is? Yeah. So he said in an interview, he said something really interesting. He's like, once you get to a certain level, and you, let's say you up at the Grammys and Adele wins like the best record of the year, and she goes on stage with like 30 people that all helped write this project. You know what I mean? And then you think you by yourself and your little engineer are going to compete with that type of music, because now it's like a different level of creation. You know what I'm saying? And not saying like it's cool for rappers to like have a whole ghostwriter for their songs. Not at all. I would completely lose respect. But the reference tracks that we heard from Drake, in my opinion, they weren't really the rap songs, because Drake is a different kind of animal. Because he really sings and he does all kinds of melody and he raps really well. So that's why he's so great. But someone like Drake, I wouldn't be surprised if people write like the new song he did, God's Plan. I don't care if he didn't write a single word.
Because that's not what you're like thinking about.
That's not you rapping. But then he had the second song, Diplomatic Immunity. Like if he didn't write that, then I would lose respect as a rapper. He's still an amazing artist, but then he's not in the top no more as a rapper.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
So
like,
it could
to
be
me,
written,
Drake is really someone else. Like I would have people write like hooks for me or like give you ideas. That's like everyone does that. You know what I mean? But you can't write my raps, because then that's the whole sport. You know?
The weird analogy that I kind of get from that is like an artist painting a picture looks at a sunset, right? Like, but they're the ones painting the picture, but that true art is a sunset,
right?
So that's the kind of way that I would see it, and I'll be like, you need both sometimes, and it makes it a beautiful thing. But sometimes you do create it on your own, and it comes out a beautiful piece. Also,
no, absolutely, I agree. And like when you're on that level, like you know, you might need some help to like.
Yeah, it's like a team. Yeah,
you need a team. That's really what it is. And like a lot of times, like people just get a beat online and you do everything. But if you have a producer, like he might not wrote your but like he'll direct you, or even like, you know, he'll get the best performance, like all of that performance out of you, that all of that matters, you know what I mean? When it comes all together. So like, you know, to me, Drake is still easily one of the greatest.
God.
And he's definitely an all-time great already.
So another
Him and Kendrick.
another thing that I kind of got sad when this happened was I would always look forward to the yearly Armenian Cyphers, and
don't
either
do
it
this
was
to me.
this year or last year it stopped, and I never really understood why. Could you explain why it stopped? Because I love those.
So yeah, man, the ciphers, they're definitely amazing. I started it in 2013, right? And it was just like a random idea I had. At that time, a lot of people were doing ciphers. It was kind of like newer online. And I was a part of a lot of ciphers. And then it just clicked to me like, yo, we can put a cipher together ourselves. And then when I started like thinking of who I would get, there was like a few Armenians in there. I'm like, why don't I just do like an Armenian one, you know? And the whole purpose was kind of like, you know, we'll show like unity to like the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And it shows like we can really rap too, you know, to the rest of the world. And we really like about this hip hop. And, you know, to our own community, it shows like unity and like, you know what I mean? So, you know, I just really called like the people I knew that I thought was good. And it was like 9 of us. And it was all really organic. And I hit up Vic One to do like the DJing part. And we did it. And then the response was insane, right? And when the response was insane, the following year, I'm like, yo, why don't we start taking like submissions for like other, you know, for like younger or whatever up and coming like Armenians worldwide, wherever they from. And we put them on, you know what I mean? And then we make it like an annual thing. And every time, you know, we'll have some of the OGs and then some of the like newer cats, you know? So every year it was great. But to be honest with you, by the time I only did like 3, by the time it was the 4th one, it was like, to be real with you, we don't have that many good rappers, bro. And I say this all the time, and I don't mean this in the cocky way, but I've been doing this for more than 10 years. How am I still the best one?
Yeah.
Like, how is there no better Armenian rapper than me? How is there no like 21-year-old like killing me right now? You know what I'm saying? I'm disappointed because like.
But you think at 22 years old,
you can see the potential, you know what I mean? Like maybe not fully, but how is there no one that could really like inspire me like that? You know what I mean? Because we get submissions, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but I wanted the level of like the cipher to be just like all the BET ciphers and all the, you know what I mean? Like we can out rap all you motherfuckers, like the whole world. This is not for Armenians. Like, we know we dope, and you know, for Armenians we impressive. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like we trying to like, you know, we put it on World Star level. And we put it on all the big platforms, and people are like, whoa, these motherfuckers really, you know what I mean? So I wanted that level. So a lot of the submissions was like, cool, but not at that level that we want. Okay. And then, you know, and then another thing I was looking at is like, are you really like when we get the submissions, like, are you really doing this, or are you just excited it's an Armenian cipher and you want to get on to brag in front of your friends, but you're not really rapping, you're not really doing this. You know what I mean? And I get people sending me, you know, whole essays like, yo, this is, you know, this is my life and this and that, and then you go and then I see on the SoundCloud and there's like 100 views and there's only 2 songs and the newest song is like 2 years ago. I'm like, no, I don't think you're not active. Like, and that's what you send me. So it's not like you have a newer song to send me, right? So if you're not really about this, you don't deserve the platform even, honestly. Completely, you know what I mean? Unless you're like undeniably good, which you're not either. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like, it became too repetitive because every time I had this 5, 6 same dudes, and it's like, I can't even switch them out if I wanted to. Like I tell them too, I'm like, I want to replace you motherfuckers. I want to replace myself. I wish I could just host it at this point. I don't have to rap and have these other motherfuckers come kill it. You know what I mean? But like nobody is killing it.
It's like a starting fight
we
without
even
subs.
got like, we even got like some feedback like, yo, why you put this guy's whack or whatever. But they're really the best ones we could find. Again, I'm not, you know what I mean? But but like by the time it was 2016, so it was the 4th one, I was like, and every year was a major headache, by the way. Like,
putting it all together?
No, it's a headache because we hot-blooded people and people getting offended that they're not making the list. And it's turning into beef and tension and like homies over there got to talk to the homie on over there. And some people are from the streets and some people are this and everybody got to like, you know what I mean? And everyone coming at me. I'm like, yo. You know what I mean?
Like that Armenian pride.
Yeah, which is fine if you deserve it, bro. I'm all for like being pushy and like, you know what I mean? But like it was a headache, and if it was worth it, I would have continued it. But I felt like there's no new talent to really showcase. So it's gonna be the same 4 or 5 people really carrying the whole every time. And even those 4 or 5 people are not that active. Like we talk about Capital Z off air, that's my brother, but like I had to convince him like
To be
on the
honest.
phone, the last one, I'm like, bro, just do this one more. Because he's like, bro, I don't rap no more. You know what I mean? He's like, the last 3-4 years, the only thing I rapped is your cipher, you know? And I'm like, yeah, because I need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I need that. Yeah.
So if you're not really active, like I'm a really like about dedication. Like my everything is into this shit, you know what I mean? Like this is my fucking life, everything, you know? So if I don't see at least a little bit of that in you, I kind of get turned off. I'm like, yeah, I don't even want to give it to you. So eventually I decided, you know, it might come back, you know what I mean? If you see some young kids, you know what I mean? I keep my ears open. And honestly, not only Armenians, but like that's what that was for. I might just do just ciphers with like other people, but like the Armenian thing would always be there if I see like a couple of new kids, you know what I mean? Like, yo. And it's also like just maybe you make music and it's dope, but you might not be good enough for a cipher because it's really two different talents. You know what I mean? Like some people can really make music and they can't really rap, or some people can only rap. You know what I mean? But the cipher, you have to be good for that. You know what I mean? And if you're not, then I'm sorry.
Speaking of that,
What?
for our 20th episode, we want to do something really special. So speaking of the cipher, I know you said you had a beat in mind. We pulled that up for you, Big Pun.
Yeah, let's have a little freestyle going on. Definitely not me and him. We're just gonna, me and Teddy are gonna watch the
Me and Matt are gonna audition for this.
No, I mean, but while you're putting that on, I have a question for you. I mean, you might not want to reveal this, but in one of your songs, you said one of the biggest artists hit me up and then he passed up. Can you name who that was, or you want to keep that a secret?
No, I can, because in that same line, I say, because I'm talking to God in that song. That song's called Father in Heaven, and I say something about like, why you so shady, Father?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I figured.
And then I say that. So yeah, that was Eminem. I don't really talk about it much just because of the relationship, and I know he's a very like private dude, and you know what I mean? So I haven't really brought it up much. I threw that subliminal, and a lot of people don't even catch it, so they don't ask me about it. But yeah, he hit me up, and yeah, it was pretty crazy because at that time, like Eminem was like God to me, and like you know what I mean, and like to be hit up by the one person I always wanted to reach was f***ing crazy. I didn't know Detroit has a lot of Middle Easterns. So somehow I had a buzz out there and it got to his ear. But you know, this happened right before he OD'd. I don't know if you guys know, like in 2008 or something, or 9, he like OD'd and almost died, and then he cleaned up. And then he dropped the recovery, right? So it was around that time. So he literally hit me like, yo, I'm gonna fly you out after the holidays and we'll meet up and just kind of vibe. So I'm going crazy. We celebrating, and then I don't get a call, and it's like I'm waiting what the happened, and then one of his people called like 3 months later. He's like, yo, he almost died that same month, like during December. And then he hit me up again after that, and we just kind of had like, you know, like a texting type of relationship. But that's when he squashed his beef with Royce. You know, like Royce was like childhood friend that they had like a, not really a beef, but I guess like you know, they had a fallout. Once he squashed his beef, and he even told me, he's like, yo, like music industry is all about timing, and like, you know, this my childhood friend. Like right now I'm focusing on Royce, Slaughterhouse. He did Bad Meets Evil. He did the whole Shady 2.0 thing when he signed Slaughterhouse and Yellow Wolf.
How long ago is this?
This is like 2012 or something.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's already like 5 years. It's crazy. So, you know, I mean, he's still my favorite rapper, but he just, you know, it's all about timing.
Yeah, maybe it comes back again. He
Yeah,
knows you, man. The fact that
he definitely. I mean, I still got his email. His number keep changing.
Yeah.
But and he replies, you know, like he's a. I had some crazy conversations with him. Like he's an amazing dude. But yeah, you know.
Yeah, time happens.
Shout out to him.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So let's get this freestyle going. Hopefully we don't this up. It's our first time doing this.
I got the headphones for you.
Yeah. Can the beat go louder? Here we go.
Good?
Yeah.
I gave you fair warning, beware.
Sometimes I feel like a 50 when he spit how to rob. Cause I'm robbing motherfuckers of they spotlight, word is born. Sometimes I feel like I'm Eminem when he turned to shady and started calling out everyone that's fucking fugazi. Sometimes I feel like I'm Jay, sometimes I feel like I'm Diddy, sometimes I feel like I'm Dre, trying to get to that Billy. Sometimes I feel like I'm Game on a mission and just drop 300 bars of this and now listen. Sometimes I feel like I'm Pac, not to keep your head up rapping. Now I'm talking about the Pac that'll spit in your fucking camera. Talk about the Pac that got him killed on that cold night, that say what he feel even if it cost him his own life. Sometimes I'm like Biggie, sometimes I'm like Sean, sometimes I feel like cannabis in his prime. Animal when he rhyme, and he know that you blind. Man controlling the mind. Man, sometimes I feel like flowing like Calm, sometimes I'm flowing like most. Sometimes I'm like Kweli or KRS Rakim. I'm teaching you who the gods be. I'm talking about Wu-Tang, talking about Mobb Deep. Man, what the fuck you talking about? I'm talking about Nas, B. Rappers are monkey flip them cause they can't do shit to me. Lyrically, physically, hypothetically, realistically, cause Big Pun lives in me. I'm the product of capital punishment, moment of truth, and midnight marauders spit like the slaughter. Shout out to Crooked. Look it, you a slave to a page in my rhyme book, so book it. This ain't a rap, it's a celebration of celibacy. From whatever you fucking with that had you thinking you better than me. Must be that Netherlands weed. My crew packing grams, repping that New Amsterdam, cause R- means the pharmacist like Pablo Escobar. Like Pac and Esco's bars, the product extra raw. You try and test the guard, we squeeze it out, we see fit, MC shit. Fuck boy rappers are getting green lit. I keeps that green lit, they call me mean. Who the fuck is you, grown up without a father? How come I'm the one that be sonning you, sonning two, or the war? Purple hearts, gush it open, all you frauds all love lost like Joe Budden proposing. Steady menacing the code of the streets, frontin' like you old dog, but when they mold like Sharif, I can tell you ain't authentic. Ask me why you ain't built right, kinda like getting hit with a condom on, it just don't feel right. Or dash your business, my bitches make bad decisions, and I love it, homie. I wasn't about to act religious. Messiah of the MCs, God of the baddest bitches. My bitch worship my nuts, homie. She sacrilegious. Twisted, I twist you faster than Twister. Your family picture will miss you. Your bitch get attached like a stigma. Spit the immaculate scriptures, I don't have to come dish you to irritate the shit out of you like laxatives in you. I slit you, wrist these caps to go in you after I leave your eyes black as a ninja. The fact is I kiss you goodbye, cannibalistic inside, cause I eat a rapper like I'm Hannibal Lecter in rhyme. Stomach is growling, homie, I don't have to fight, cause when Dash grabs the mic, the hungriest rappers lose their appetite. Eating habits getting sacrificed, man. I bring a famine to these rappers as I'm dancing with the Antichrist. Your life pass your mind faster than a flash of light, like whoa. Ice cold, shine bright like go. Light throw, my flow like white blow. Drive slow, dimes go psycho like whoa. Leave 'em fucking amazed. Even if these walls could talk, they'd have nothing to say. Your entire platoon ducking away when I spray. Tomorrow never comes. Bury these fuckers today.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Little something.
That was dope, bro.
Well, now you know. Are we still recording? We're still recording. Now you know why you're not in the cipher every year. Because you have to go with that.
Guys, come on.
You gotta go
Step
for
up
that.
your game,
Jesus
guys.
Christ. Wow. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate it. That was very dope, man. Thank you so much, man.
I appreciate y'all, man.
With that said, man, that was episode 20 with Armin. We'll put all his links down there.
Yeah.
You should definitely
Stop
check him
by
out.
his shop, get his merch, listen to his
Dude, man,
music.
that was
Hell yeah.
dope.
Follow me at Armin. Definitely come by the store if you local.
Hell yeah.
Glenoaks and Grandview, the Pentagon, LA.
You can't miss it.
It's a dope vibe. Just come through, kick it. You know what I mean? And we do a lot of events too. So
Jeez.
and me Mondays. Every Monday I drop a song. So follow me and you'll see.
On Instagram, so you can check that out. Tune in.
Hell
All right,
yeah,
man.
man.
From the Vibes guys and Armin, man. Appreciate
We're
it.
out.
Peace.
Peace.